is waiting. Let's get it on. It's all presented. All wins along.
So we'll jump right into this. Jeff, welcome to the podcast. Big fan. And we were talking a little bit earlier. You just bought yourself a new truck in 30 minutes.
Just did the fastest truck deal ever. But when there's good deals out there, you got to jump on them, you know? I jumped all over that thing.
You're saying you didn't go for all the bells and whistles. You didn't need the add-on. What truck did you go for here?
I got a GMC Sierra 1500 AT4 edition in a real nice kind of copper brown color. Sharp. It's a longer bed than my truck, a little more room in the cab than my truck. It's got a nice 6.2 liter motor, so plenty of power, and it's built for off-roading, which is great because I drive a really shitty road up and down to work all the time.
What's the box size? What are we sitting on here?
It's like a 6.5 foot box.
Oh, so a sled could go in the back.
Yeah, and like the Raptor only has a 5 foot box. So when I put my sled in the back, it looks like a sled in the back of a Toyota Tercel. It's
so
kind of a problem.
You went from a Raptor to this GMC, and you've only been in it for about 45 minutes. You know, is it superior already? Are you happy with your purchase?
No, the Raptor's a different thing. The Raptor's like, I still have it. It's like built up. So the Raptor's like, I like to think that my vehicles get better over time. So when you get them stock, you kind of start breaking stuff and you constantly upgrade it to better stuff, you know? And so the Raptor now has like performance springs, performance shocks, performance coils, like A-arm replacements. Like it's really, I love that truck. But this is a BaldFace truck. And we really needed another truck because we just bought a farm out in Slocan Valley, and we take possession November 1st. And just this time of year, we're shuttling everything up and down the hill. They're bringing all the soda pop up today. It was all the beer and liquor yesterday. So it's like this, it's now with 2 operations. There's just like, right, we need more vehicles. So,
one more question before we go into this 2 operation, which is crazy. Congratulations. The Raptor, the Raptor is not a cheap truck. You're that's an expensive vehicle and you're still upgrading. It's like,
well, to be fair, like I picked this Raptor up.
Not upgrade.
This Raptor was purchased by a dude in Calgary, and he came here and wanted to drive with my friend Doug, who's a real fast off-road driving enthusiast, and he crashed it over in Sheep Creek by Roslyn. And so he took a corner wide and rolled it off the side of the road, and it smashed all the glass out of it, bent the whole left side, and it was a total write-off. So Doug bought the salvage title from him and then took it to his shop. I bought it off of Doug, completely wrecked, and put, 20, 25 grand into it, like new glass, redid the body, redid the paint job. Had to, buy some tires and rims and whatever. And then went back to Doug's shop and then had to do the exhaust and some suspension parts. But at the end of the day, that truck had about 18,000 clicks on it when I got it, and it was totaled. And it took me 6 months to rebuild it. But a new one of those was like 85, 89 then in 2013, 14. And so I ended up, kind of under 50 building it up. I had to be patient and do it. But at least everything I did to it was like an improvement over. They're already pretty sick when you get them, but I just kind of went that next level with stuff. So I love that.
Does the Raptor have heated and cooled seats? Is that a thing?
Yes,
yet?
Heated and cooled seats, but not steering wheel. And it's still old. It's a 2013. So by today's standards, it's kind of like, still analog-y. Little analog-y still.
I mean, do any steering wheels come cooled? Cooled steering wheels sounds nice because I kind of have clammy hands when I drive. So like that.
Yeah, I don't know. You might want to call like Mercedes or Audi for that kind of, that level's going European.
I'm just trying to keep up because like
you got to talk to Ken about his new Audi and see if it has a cooling steering wheel or not when you get Ken on the show.
Yeah, I'm sure McMorris is driving some vehicles with some.
I'm sure McMorris has a air condition, but he's so cool anyways. It probably. The steering wheel feels like it's being driven by an air-conditioned human when Mark's driving.
Kid's been riding amazing. I've been watching his last few clips that he's been posting from where Sass Fe or wherever he is, and he did a cab 1440 and some other stuff, and I'm like, when is he going to slow down? He's like, it's insane.
It's amazing watching those guys now, and Mark definitely. But when you look, it's like you could see them lock in on the landing at a point, and they kind of open up or shut it down just right. That's what blows me away. Like you can't. I never learned how to do that. I've been snowboarding like so long. Like it's such a like, please, I hope this works. And there's like Torstein's another one where you're just like, and Ika, like they just, you can see it in their rotation that they like lock it in and you know they're going to make it.
It's weird because they only have like each jump with varying speeds and different pop and stuff. You only have a very specific amount of time, like whether it's 1.2 seconds in the air or 1.5. That alters your rotation so big. So if you're winding up too much, you over rotate and stuff. It just blows my mind once you get over a 1080, how each jump, regardless of the size and the different aspects and the shape of the jump, it's perfect every time. I'm like, how is it when you go cab 1440 and his last rotation, he comes into the landing slightly toe edge heavy so he can like grab the snow. And it's like milliseconds we're talking about here from under rotation, over rotation, screwing up your cork. And it just,
I couldn't even ragdoll a 1440. I don't even think I could get that many rotations in on my best absolute over the nose ragdoll.
I had if the Slush or any of those magazines are doing ragdoll of the year, I think I don't know if I'm going to get any other award, maybe ever, since I won a Young Bloods contest in like 2004. That was my career highlight. Thank you. Good applause. But this year I think I'm sitting on maybe one of the best ragdolls. It's solid. Like when you see it, you'll be like, damn, Jody, like way to go.
You got to go ride with Jamie sometime because that dude, we all know he knows how to stick the landing, but it's because he tries on everything. And he ragdolls so hard that like shit goes flying off, and he calls it the hat toss, you know?
Then your goggles and your beanie.
If you do it so hard that you're throwing your hat off and you're just giving it up, then you really know you got it.
Devin told me once for like backcountry advice that you don't land once you land, you got to land another time, because especially if there's bomb holes or snow never lands completely perfect. You know what I mean? Especially in the backcountry, there's always a bump after that you're not aware of if you spin left or right. And so he's like, you got to land twice. And even still, another piece of advice he gave me is you got to land twice, but you got to land the first one like you're landing a park jump, not like you're leaning back, because, you know, he wasn't a big fan of those skier landings. You know, you got to land bolts. So Jamie's from that era where it's like you want to get both your feet. It looks so much better when it's like that too. When you see somebody like you mentioned there, Ika, he's somebody.
I was just about to say Ika.
He just lands like bolts. Like if he front threes off of a step down, I mean, not only is the pop and the Indy done really well, it's just like he lands and it's like both feet, boom, and it looks sick.
It's kind of weird, Ika. Like when you ride, like it really seems like he doesn't give a shit and he's not even trying. You know, he's not even. It's like kind of a secondary thing for him when he's out there, but he's so good. And in my mind, many times I've been like, that guy doesn't even try and he's that good. That's crazy. But then due to social media, when you watch how much he skates and how dialed in he is and how much effort and time he puts into his craft, it totally starts making sense. Like, I don't know, everybody I know at that level, like it's like all day, every day, always working on their craft. Like I have like so much respect for those guys.
Me.
Hi, honey.
Likewise. Hey, how are you, honey?
Hold on, Paula and I are gonna swap. Here you go. I can take the Yeah, the cooler's full of frozen stuff.
Ooh. Frozen beers.
You want to say hi to the podcast? Maybe the fans want to see you. She's beautiful, my wife. You wouldn't believe it looking at me, but
buddy, you drive a Ford Raptor. It's like that alone. But she wasn't there for the Ford Raptor time.
Oh no. There was no Ford Raptor in the early days.
That's the reason why we're doing this podcast right here. So
are we starting in the early days and getting to the new days?
Yeah, we're going old days. I want to hear, where did you grow up?
Oh my
God. The beginning times.
Okay, I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio.
What?
You ever been to Cleveland?
No, but there was a funny like sitcom back in the day with somebody from Cleveland, Ohio. I
Drew
don't
Carey.
remember. Yeah, Drew
Yeah.
Carey show.
Yeah, so I grew up there and then went to a high school in New Hampshire called Proctor, and it was awesome. Changed my life. And then I went to Colorado State. Didn't really learn much there, but it changed my life too, because then I went to Lake Tahoe, and I went to a college called Sierra Nevada College and studied ski business management there. That's why I went there, which was super rad, and met really my crew that's still my friends now. We all were there, and we've all kind of grown up into these people doing these really awesome things in the industry in a lot of ways. And so I went from Tahoe to Nelson, and I've been in Nelson for like 23 years now, which is amazing to say. I can't even believe it. Yeah, I've been in Nelson for a long time. And I was in Tahoe for like 11 years. And when I found Tahoe, I thought that was it. I was like, this is the best place I've ever been in my life. I love Lake Tahoe. I was like, I didn't care about the tourists. I don't care about anything. Like, swimming in that lake is the best thing on the planet I've ever done.
Elaborate. Why is it the best thing? Why is it different
like
than any other lake?
It is crisp. All right. First of all, there's great Mexican food everywhere down there. Okay.
Good point.
So you start with that, and you go in and you can get like a burrito to go, or a little combo plate, and you take it to like a place in Lake Tahoe. Even though I don't live there, I will be respectful enough to not reveal the ultimate locations that I know. But you go to the spot, and then you walk in like knee-deep, crystal clear, beautiful lake, beautiful water on a sandy bottom, holding your burrito, and you go out to a really warm rock that's been in the sun all day, and you dive into the water, and you swim down, and you can swim in between some rocks like a fish, and you come up and you look at these snow-capped peaks, and you're swimming in this lake. And then you eat a burrito while you're warming up again on those rocks with your good buddies, absolutely talking shit the whole time, making plans on how you're going to like rule the world. And then you also there's great mountain biking, there's hiking everywhere, there's golf, snowboarding is amazing in Lake Tahoe. I don't care what anybody says. I love Lake Tahoe 23 years ago. I've heard.
What the hell are you doing in Nelson? You sound like you
fell in
love
love with this super awesome lady.
Tahoe.
And Paula and I, she is Canadian, and Paula went to Sierra Nevada College on a ski scholarship. She was a super good ski racer. And so she took a collegiate scholarship to Sierra Nevada, who were like the NCAA champs at the time. And I was not on any scholarships or anything. I had kind of blown my chance and was kind of working my way through. And that's why I was a snowboard rep back then. Another whole story.
So just for time frame, are you like, what year is this? Are people still smoking on airplanes? Like, like how far are you throwing this back?
So that would have been like 91, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, all the way through there. I lived there till about 2003. And it was a magic time in Lake Tahoe. I was there when you couldn't snowboard anywhere. So we'd go to Mount Rose, and we would go to Boreal at night. And they had a place called Jurassic Park. And it was open at night and only on like 3 days of the week. And you had to take a little test to show them you could get on and off the chairlift. And you had to have a leash on your snowboard. And then you had a special pass, and then you could ride Jurassic Park, which was sick. And there was like old lift towers buried in the snow, and like cars, like shitty cars. And it would be like, you'd see Slasnik and Roach and John Cardiel and like Corey Atun and all these like amazing riders doing crazy shit. And it was really fun. It was so fun back then. Stomp pads. Everyone like had terrible sticker jobs and like grab places to grab your board with like a little stomp pad on it, so you could really grab it.
What's the setup like at that specific time? You said
I had a nitro Pyro 165 that I still have, and it is like the stiffest, most gnarliest snowboard ever. But it was so sick. I saved up for so long to buy it and got it at Big Wave Dave's snowboard shop there in Truckee, and like
But you
It
wouldn't
was huge.
recommend someone of your size, like you're what, 5'10"? You wouldn't tell somebody to buy a
I'm like
165.
5'7" on a good day. I would never. That story gets even dumber because then I worked for a company called Glissade, and Glissade specialized in longboards, you know? So 165, 175, 185, and 195 were the boards that we made.
Racer boards.
No, they were fat and wide. The effective edge went past the contact point. So they had like these ears on the front and this really interesting nose. And they had a rubber top sheet and they were awesome. But I rode a 175 then, a 168, a 175 all the time at Squaw and Alpine. Like that was the board.
The tallest person I know, Mickle, rides a 170. This is crazy to hear that you were riding that board. And
I still have a 175 with the bindings on it at the lodge. Next time you're there, you're going to go ride that thing. They're fun. Longboards are killer.
I'm stoked. I'm just like, for me, I'm like, I'm a 157 kind of guy, you know, 158, because I'm 5'8".
I ride a 142 powder no board now. That's like, I ride the smallest little potato chip of a snowboard. It's crazy. Yeah.
Oh my God. How things have changed.
Oh yeah.
So
where was I? I totally blew it. See, I took
that was wild. You covered a lot of ground there. Sure. Just like throwing out those names alone, the fact that you would have seen those guys ride the park.
Oh, well then, all right. So then what happened was then Squaw kind of tipped into it and they opened just the mountain run, which is like if you take the gondola up. Oh, the gondola is not even there anymore. But where the Funatel is now, there used to be a gondola. And you could ride this cat track down. That was their thing. Was like, okay, we'll let snowboarders here, but you got to take a test. You got to wear a leash. And you can only ride the mountain run. And so the mountain run inevitably just turned into these wall ride side hits and crazy jumps to flat off of the cat road. Oh. And then you'd see like Nick, and then Squaw kind of fell apart, and all of a sudden you could go to Squaw, and then it was amazing because that was when like Jim Rippey was ripping around, and like Parada and Farmer, and like they would bring crews from other places in, and have you been to Squaw much?
No, not at all. So
like you can kind of see what's going on in a lot of it while you're riding the chairlifts. You're looking around like, look at that guy, holy shit, like look at that, right? And then you'd see these guys in the lift line and they were gods, you know? It was like, dude, that was...
Who was the standout? Just out of curiosity, like you're there live, you're seeing some of these people snowboard. Like when lots of these dudes are in the videos and they're in the mags.
I would say like I kind of like gaper fanboyed out watching the Hatchets film there for a little while. Like there'd be like posses that would follow people around. And I remember watching Todd Slosser.
Oh, and sickest style.
Whoa.
TV5, his part. He's got like the crazy shifty spins.
Yeah. He's like,
his poke. He does like a half cab and he just breaks his legs and half kicking is like a ninja kick forward. Yep. He had sick style.
I mean, I don't know. Like I think I kind of turned, I don't know why, into like, there was a little time there when like jumping off of really big things was the thing, you know? Even if it was a super flat landing. And like, I knocked myself out trying to jump off of kind of questionable things, kind of the Nick Parada school of thought, which is like all the respect in the world, but like Farm and Parada and those guys would be there and Damian Sanders. And you'd see these guys like sending these pretty crazy lines. Tom Burt even isn't afraid of a flat landing. Like Tom was like the guy, like I loved his style and just the lines he picked through Broken Arrow and stuff. Anyways, I could talk about Squaw all day long, but that was the progression, man. It was so fun to be around Tahoe in those days. And the thing was, like, I broke my ankle one year in a mogul field on a really shitty, I don't even know what snowboard I was on, but like my foot came out of the snowboard, right? Wow. So I tweaked myself, and this guy, Mike, I kind of knew him, a friend of a friend, and he was the Kemper rep. And he was like, hey man, if your ankle's broken and you like to snowboard, you want to sit in the van here and you could like set up people's bindings for them if they want to try snowboard. And I was like, he's like, I'll give you a snowboard. I'm like, yep, I'll do that for sure. So I sat in a parking lot for like a half a spring talking to people about snowboarding in the parking lot of Squaw Valley and like giving out Kemper snowboards. And it was really cool, man. It was a really cool experience. And then that led to the K2 rep guy, who was an older guy who did skis really. And K2 was a crazy company back then. He was like, hey, we're getting into snowboards. Would you like maybe a job? You know, so he actually gave me a job I had to do all the waxing for the K2 ski fleet. But then I also got to have a separate van, Astro van, with all the snowboards in it. And they made boots then too, and bindings. And I got to do like different demos than the ski demos. You know, some would be together, but then I could be like, I'm going to go to Mount Rose this weekend to do a demo. Like, it was super fun. And they were a great crew. That whole K2 crew back in the day was so many fun, awesome people like Tim Manning and Luke Edgar and Haley and this guy Brent and this guy Jace. Like, everybody was awesome in that crew. So positive. And they'd hike Rainier as a group with a bunch of like shop guys. And like, it was an amazing culture that they had back then, for sure. And that was like Kevin Young, Adam Merriman era, you know, like it was good back then. The old K2 Jujus, and when the first Fat Bobs came out, and the
I have two
farmer board, you know, it was a great time. And so I rode that wave for a bit. And my deal was Brian, the guy, helped me with my college. So I would do that, and then he was helping me with my college. So it was kind of a win-win, you know. He was a great mentor too. But the better the snowboarding was doing, you know, snowboarding was exploding, exponentially growing. And they kind of were always figuring out ways to pay you less, you know? And it was like, oh, you get a 8% commission. And then they're like, if you can do $300,000, that would be great this year. And then you do like $600,000, and they're like, hey, that's great, but we're going to cut your commission down to 6%.
How does that like run any logic? You know what I mean?
Well, because then they're like, hey, if you won't do it, because it's a lot of money and things go around.
I get it. But
I wasn't getting it. My boss was, but like, whatever. I kind of saw the writing on the wall with like, my passion was really devout, but I'm a little more of an entrepreneur and free thinker. And I just saw how that big company kind of stuff worked, and like, fair enough, it is what it is, but I didn't really think it was for me anyways. So then I left and went to Glissade, and we made crap snowboards too. And like, when I showed up there, my friend Rusty Dobbs brought me in there, and it was like, the guys were so teched out and just wanted to make the best snowboards with like real materials that weren't shitty, because snowboards were pretty shitty back then. And their whole thing was like, a snowboard should last a few years and like be made out of tough materials that aren't fragile and chip away, you know, like top sheets would chip away and delam, and you'd hit your edge on something and it'd be soft, and then water would get in there. Those boards are still good today. They were built brilliantly, but they didn't know shit about creating a team and getting the sales guys stoked on it and how to pump up the shops and all that stuff. So Rusty, who's a great guy, and I just totally took over sales there, and we're like, we're going to figure this out. So we did that for like 3-4 years, and that was rad because
did you figure it out?
Well, we hired a Swiss distributor that did all of Europe, and then we hired a Japanese distributor which did Japan, and they did really well in Japan. And that was when like gray market was great, and Japanese people loved crapo. They were like gray and understated and like really nailed it. So yeah, I mean, and we hired a South American distributor and went to some trade shows and hired up a team. We had like Elon Bouchel and Monty Hayes and Kurt Jensen. He was kind of on live and kind of helping us out too. And like, we had great people, Vic Lawrence, like all these great people on the team. Tex Davenport was riding on them. Like, and that was going pretty good. And then I was like 26 or 20. I'm going to wrap this up really fast and then you can ask. But then I was like 26, 27.
Keep going.
And we started doing pretty good with that. But those guys started getting deals to make like other shit because they were really good at composites and manufacturing stuff. And they started kind of wanting to do some other things. And I saw it as like another learning chance. And so it was hard, but I was like, I'm out. I'm going to go, you know, I'm 27. I'm going to go do my own thing and try to do something amazing and fail at it like quickly and terribly. And then I'll go get a job for some big company and I'll be like, it's a scary world out there, you know, So I always figured like whatever I was going to do wouldn't really succeed. It would be another kind of chapter in my learning, you know?
That's a really cool headspace to go into something. You're like, you're already going in it being like, I'm going to work hard, but if I fail, I'm 27, I don't care. There's more to life. I feel like a lot of people are so invested in the thing that they're moving towards that when that thing doesn't work, they're just like, I don't know if I can go forward because I failed. But like you said, you just take those skills and move forward with them.
Or you realize now that I'm 52 that failing is a part of the learning and you don't get one without the other. And ultimately, all those hard times gave me the stones to keep failing ahead at BaldFace. Because like BaldFace is not some success story of just like doing it right.
Just fall in your
doing it
lap,
right.
that's for
Like,
sure.
I got my ass kicked. I still get my ass kicked all the time, you know, but I'm not scared of it. You know, it's like, that's what we do. We're entrepreneurs, you know, like, yeah. Yeah, that's the game plan.
Okay,
right?
now that we've zipped into the BaldFace chapter.
Okay, I got
here,
through
let's
all
get,
that.
Let's
There
get
we go.
so what I want for our guests that are listening to the show right now, some people probably don't know what BaldFace is. You know,
Yep.
they know, they love snowboarding, but they're from, you know, somewhere in Europe or South America or wherever, or Australia. So give us a breakdown.
Who is this guy?
Who are you? What is BaldFace?
Well, BaldFace is a backcountry resort where we take people snowboarding and skiing. They stay overnight for 3 or 4 day trips in our backcountry lodge. So the lodge is built up just under 7,000 feet in the Kootenay Mountains, which are, no offense, but like the best mountains in Canada if you like to ride powder. And terrain wise, can't really be beat. I've got a crew that's been there for a long time. We really enjoy working with each other and creating this experience that people come out and you just get to be fully immersed in this mountain lifestyle and this mountain experience that we've cultivated. And our goal and our mission is to share the infinite wisdom of the backcountry with those that are wise enough to seek it out. So all you got to do is want it, and we're going to take care of everything, put you right in front of some of the best POW you've ever been in front of, and just say, have at it.
So it's a snowboarder's dream. A question I have, a follow-up would be, where did this stem from? Like, where one day did you know, you said you hit your head a long time ago. Did you hit your head and then you had like a month on the couch and you're like, I should start BaldFace. I should start this thing, this lodge.
Not at all, man. It was this. It was like, I really loved Paula and we broke up after being engaged after Tahoe. She went to India. I quickly said, went on a little bit of a like, what am I? At 27, it's a good thing to do. And I took like 6 months, 8 months and did a lot of backcountry snowboarding and did a lot of hiking and fishing. And like I said, I'm from Cleveland. So like for me, between Lake Tahoe and the Canadian border on I-5 and east of that is the best place in the world, as far as I'm concerned. It's incredible, right? Including Whistler, go all the way up. But like Cascadia is incredible. It suits me. So, you know, I guess really long story short, Paula brought me up here because when she got back from India, took a job as the editor of the newspaper here in Nelson. And so through various Weasley methods that ex-boyfriends use to try to see what their ex-girlfriends are doing, I came into Nelson after seeing her dad on a trip. And man, the second we saw each other again, we just totally fell in love. And I went back down to Tahoe and I was like, I remember just being like, why not? Why can't I find a way to make this work? Like, there's a way to make this work. We're supposed to be together. And then I was the guy with truck in Tahoe. That was my job. I had to add in the newspaper, guy with truck. And I was having some beers and some pizza at lunch at this place. And this guy was like, weren't you the K2 rep like a few years ago? And I was like, yeah. He's like, why are you drinking beer at 12:05 on a Tuesday afternoon in Incline Village? And blah, blah, blah. Long story short, that guy was my first partner, Jim Frapps. And he had been trying to come cat skiing in BC forever. And you couldn't go. There were only 7 places. They were all filled up years in advance. And there was this, back then in 97 or so, there was this like underground, like if you knew about cat skiing, you knew about it. everybody knew that there was CMH and heli skiing and Whistler heli skiing and some places like that. But the cat skiing was a little more subdued. And some people thought like it was like not as good as heli skiing or a different thing. But really, Fraps really researched. He was like, if you like POW, you go to the interior of BC and you go cat, because they go when the helis don't fly during the storm, when it's just so over your head, the dream POW, that's cat skiing POW, right? And so I was like, well, I want to go cat skiing, and my Paul is up in Nelson, shit. So yeah, and I was like, I'm looking to fail at something. This is amazing, you know. So I had bought a house out of some money I had when I graduated from high school or college, and that house had appreciated substantially in Tahoe. It was starting to happen there, and so I borrowed $50,000 on a home equity line against my house. Started a business with Fraps and this other creepy dude, Tony, and I was like, fuck it, guys. If we lose this, it's just more payments on a 30-year schedule. So let's do this, right? And we started coming up to Nelson and like asking government people and not talking to people. And a lot of people didn't want to talk to us. And I was a 28-year-old goofball, like, whoa. And always in the back of my mind, I was always like, maybe, I mean, I'll probably fail. Maybe. I was always like, but maybe I'm the guy that good things happen to, you know? And I don't know. I mean, it's a really detailed, long story, but just slowly by having that mindset and believing in the positivity of the whole thing, not necessarily having an end game. I didn't know the lodge was going to look like that. I didn't even know it was going to be cat skiing or cat boarding, you know? Could have been backcountry skiing pretty easily, you know? Could have been heli, could have been a lot of things. All I wanted to do was be the local at Alpine Meadows, where I ended up spending a lot of time, where when people from out of town came into town, they wanted to find me because I knew where to go on that mountain. So if you came down to Whitewater, you'd call me if it was 2 days after a storm and be like, you want to go to Whitewater? Because you know that we would hike a little bit and go get to some goods and not just ride tracked out shit all day long looking for it. So I wanted to be that guy, you know, and just share it, like share that thing and create these relationships. So, you know, I mean, this story is so freaking crazy, but it's like, you know, then Buff comes into my life and my life changes immeasurably. Paula and I are really hitting it off and it's going really good. My dad passes away and I was like, geez, harsh. Wow, that's pretty final, you know, like, damn.
Jeez.
And, you know, I got to say my parents were amazing. My mom's still alive. They're amazing people. They made me who I am. Like all good parents out there get good kids. And they stuck with me when I was an idiot too. So anyways, I just kind of kept learning these lessons. And then like Craig Kelly comes into my life and it's like, what? And then Craig's like, man, that's not a bad idea. I mean, like all these places. At that time, there was a watch that came out called a Suntoe watch, and you could count your vertical feet on your Suntoe watch. And like heli skiing had turned into a contest to see who could get the most vertical. And they would charge you extra if you got too much vertical. It was all about how much vertical. Skiing directly related to the fact that skiers were not using the terrain as, you know, intended. They were just like straight lining shit and like squiggle turning down powder fields, not like, woo, what's over here? Wow, woo, let's get back over here. You know what I mean? Gully, woohoo. And so it was a little different back then. And Craig, it really validated where I was like, the snowboarders need a place. Like, I want to go to a place where instead of fake wooden skis crossed on the wall and a pair of old rawhide snowshoes and some grizzled old, you know, goofy guide skier guy, like, you know, doesn't know a method from a freaking Tindy. Like, I don't know. I want people who kind of know what's up. And we both saw it. It was like, yeah, snowboarding's ready. Like Island Lake had done a really good job with Craig and they did some trips where they, you know, had like magazines out and they did a quarter pipe contest and some stuff. And it was like, oh yeah. And so I just kind of tried to stay true to that and true to myself and not think about how much, I don't care how much vertical you get at BaldFace at all. I care that at the bar when you're having your soup because you got to have hot soup at the end of the day, that you're having the soup and you look over at me and without saying it, I know you just had like the best day you've ever had in your life. That's what I want. The stories, the fucking, I ragdolled so hard my hat came off, like just all those are why we do it. Not so you can say I did 18,000 vert today or you only did 17. Oh.
You touched base on Craig there though. So I mean, he is, the greatest of all time.
That's Craig. That's a painting of Craig that Sean Morris did. Can you see his style? It's pretty sick.
It's amazing in the
It's
background.
a photograph.
There.
He took the photograph.
Toe side turn.
Yeah.
But okay.
Sorry. Yeah.
How did you meet Craig Kelly? What did he, do with BaldFace? Did he come on as a partner? Was he just a friend? And what was he like?
So Craig, like first time I met him, I was standing in front of the CD. You know what a CD is? Okay. I was standing in front of the CD store in Nelson. That's a music store. You used to buy music in stores, kids. So I was standing in front of the CD store and this sport van pulls up. Sport van is a gas guzzling 4-wheel drive giant van, like a overlanding van. And it pulls up and I was like, oh my God, that's the sickest car I've ever seen in my life. And then the side door opens and Craig Kelly jumps out of the van. And I'm standing there like, fuck, really? And he walks right up to me. I'm nobody, right? I'm still nobody. And he's like, hey man, is there a CD store in this town? And I remember being like, yeah, that's a CD store right there. He's like, okay, thanks, cool, man. And he went to the CD store. And I kind of ran home. I was like, oh, Craig Kelly, I just met him in the street. That's a sign. Are you kidding me? Like, do you want a sign that we're supposed to be here doing this? Like, I just ran into Craig Kelly. He asked me about the CD store, and I was right in front of the CD store. It was like amazing. So that happened. And then fast forward like a year or so, and I had been going out with Buffery a lot and doing a lot of backcountry split boarding and investigating different areas and really learning a lot more than I knew about the snowpack and a lot of stuff from Buff. Can't say enough good things about John Buffery. Really can't say enough good things about John Buffery. But one day he invites me over to his house to have some tea and play a game of chess. So I go over to his house and I walk in and there's Buff in his kitchen. It's like a walkthrough, and he's in his kitchen. He's like, oh, hey, Jeff, come on in. And the chair's out. And I'm like, hey, what's up, Buff? Man, stoked to come over. Nice to see you. And then I turn the corner and Craig is sitting at the chessboard. And I'm like, I back up. I'm like, I look at Buff. I'm like, what? He's like, Jeff, I want you to meet Craig, man. Like, I guided him in Afghanistan. We've been friends for a long time. And I told him what you were trying to do. And I thought maybe an introduction would be appropriate. And Craig and I sat down and had this really straight up talk. And he came with me a few times and I showed him kind of what I was thinking. And we did a few fixed wing airplane flights around. And I showed him at that point the like 5 different places we were thinking about putting it and got his feedback, based on what he had learned all over the place. And ultimately the place that's BaldFace right now was Craig and Buff that were really the ones who were like, you should put it right there. And I was there's another spot that's another operation now that I was a little more like, but they were like, nope, that place, that's the spot. And
Are you happy with your pick?
What's that?
Are you happy with your pick?
Yes.
Or if you could go back.
Right. Of course. Yeah. You're not going to listen to Buff and Craig tell you where there's a good play. Like, okay, you want a sign. There you go. So yeah, we picked this place because it's incredible, man. BaldFace is great. And like the thing about BaldFace, and we can maybe talk about Valhalla later, but like the thing about BaldFace is the cats get on top of everything at BaldFace. So you're not looking at terrain you can't get to. There's no like extra stuff to hike to. Like we drive, the ridges are all connected. We got really nice like flat ridges that go to peaks and drainages at the bottom. So instead of getting dropped off here and having to traverse over here and go here and pick up, BaldFace is amazing because we call it SFD. You get dropped off here and you go straight fucking down to the pickup, and then the next group goes, and then the next group goes. So it's like it's quite unique that way, the way it's laid out. And yeah, they were really right about it. So the thing is, we also don't have tons of objective hazard. And objective hazard is like a giant glacier above your cat road that you, in a cloudy day, you don't know if it's about to release or not. So you have to shut that cat road down, you know, or going through a terrain trap on a road and you don't know, so you can't do it. So this place is incredible like that. And it also gives the guides the ability to not be completely like shitting their pants all day long in like crazy, weird, rocky, you know, like you go over the Rockies and you start ski touring around. It's like terrifying sometimes. And I give guides all the credit in the world for like really knowing what the hell they're doing. And I'm not saying BaldFace guides aren't, they're all trained the same. They all do the same stuff on their days off, but we can really concentrate on the experience and make sure you're having a great time. And if there's a little blind roll at BaldFace, chances are you can like send it off of it. And we don't need to do a big discussion and whatever. We've seen it now lots. And you know what I mean? Like you've been to some other places where it's like, yeah, you go off of that knob, you're going 200 feet into a forest. You go off this knob, you're going 30 feet to a really nice train. Like BaldFace, we don't have to worry about all that much.
Just because I'm the biggest fan of Craig Kelly, did you get to do some laps with him? Did he get to enjoy some soulboarding up at BaldFace?
So much. So Craig was there when we picked it. Then we did the tenure process, and Craig took off with Savina and drove that sport van all the way to the tip of Chile, Tierra del Fuego. No shit, for a year. And they had a baby. They had Olivia while they were in Chile. And then they drove that sucker back up when Olivia was just a little teeny baby. She was the first like real baby that I ever held. Like, you know, awkwardly. Like, yeah.
That feels like me right now. My friends are having babies and I'm like, how do I do this?
Yeah, it was a really magical time those days. And so then by that point, we had gotten the tenure. We were taking a boat back and forth across the lake every day and getting into a truck, driving the truck up to where snowmobiles were stationed on the snow, or to this geodesic dome that I built that we were living in back there. And then Craig was really into it, man. He was like splitboarding a lot. He got his accreditation. So Craig was the tail guide and Buff was the guide, and I would drive the cat. That was like the setup for a lot of it. No. And then we hired some cat drivers, and then I got to ride a lot more. And then really it turned into like we hired some guys, and me and Buff and Craig would get to go and like start planning out where we were putting cat roads in what order, where the priorities were, you know, really cool stuff like that. And so he was with us for 2 years of doing that. And then we designed the lodge and planned it all out. Craig was a part of that, picking the location the lodge was on. And those were amazing days. I mean, we talked all the time. He was like, that was what we were working on. I was so flattered with everything. Hold on, I'm not going to get that. And I was so flattered with everything. And it was such a gift those years. And then we started building, we built the road up to the lodge. We were lifting the timber frame. We got the siding on. No, we didn't get the siding on. We got the panels on. We got the ACO trailers up there. And we started, and we flew the first helicopter up there. And we did like Christmas with my family and everybody's family up there that year in the lodge, the first year. We were like making beds, painting, like it was not Christmassy. It was like a work camp. And then yeah, like they all came up the next day, Craig and Buff, and then 24 guests. And boom, we could talk, and boom, boom. And then the cats are out, and we ran. That was our first days. And we did that till like January 10th or so. And then Craig left, and he went to go to Selkirk Mountain Experience to go get some more experience before his second module of his CAA2. And that's where the fatality happened up there. And then there was some real gut checking moments, after that, for sure. Awful time then. So that was the awful time. There's the balance. And then, like Mark Fawcett was with us then. He was guiding then. And I don't know how well you know Fawcett, but he is an amazing force of human goodness in the world. And between having Fawcett and Buff, Graham Jones, like I could tell you some of the staff that were up there, Dave, like Fraps, we were all like, yeah, we got to keep this going. This is,
that was
my daughter, Estelle. Hold on. What's up? I'm in the office. I'm busy right now. I'm doing a podcast. Just text me. I'm upstairs. Talk to you later. Bye. I love you.
No worries.
Sorry.
I'm glad you got that.
Father
Here's a
of four.
question I had for you about Craig though. Like, so before Craig passed, did he ever have, some ideas for the lodge? And then when he passed, did you ever like pursue those ideas that he had?
Yeah.
You're like, man, we should do this. Craig always thought it would be cool to do this run or like to put this here. Or...
I mean, maybe, but
or even just the
even Craig
essence of
was
like
just
keeping the lodge going. I feel like,
I
did
think
he share the same vision and everything? Like, were you guys all seeing eye to eye on what the lodge
Totally.
should be?
Totally. We were, and it was like, we had some hot tubs when he was there. He really liked hot tubs. And, we were in the hot tub one night and we put him in this really rad spot. And he was like, dude, I remember him saying like, whatever happens, don't ever get rid of these hot tubs. Don't ever move them. These are the best hot tubs I've ever been in. And when I moved the hot tubs and got rid of them, I kind of felt a little like, sorry, dude, they gotta go. They're gross. Like they're totally gross, dude. So
yeah.
But yeah, I
Oh,
think
man.
like really everybody, not just Craig, and Craig was a huge force and like it was weird because he didn't say a lot, but what he said carried a lot of weight, like this is classic Craig would be like, you'd ask him a question and he would go like this, like say, what color is the sky? Go ahead, say it.
What color is the sky?
It's kind of blue, but it's a little bit white down below the blue. So there's kind of this gradient in it right now. Like just deep truth, but he always took a time to answer it. There was no like idiot like me, like, blah, 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 like
hey, we're the
yeah, he really like thought about everything he said, was very measured, and like never really Craig was just I don't want to talk about Craig forever because it is kind of weird for me, but like he was just the most authentically badass, no bullshit. Like he never broke character. Like that Craig, that soulful, real human was Craig. It wasn't bullshit, like he didn't break character and like change into something else. Like he lived with so much integrity. It was so inspiring. Still is. So he still inspires to not be full of shit, to not be afraid to fail, to, own your shit, to celebrate your shit, like all that stuff.
There's some big lessons, like, I've had my fair share of friends pass away, and there's definitely some lessons I take away from each individual. Like, I'm like, damn, like he lived his life so like, blank. And I'm like, I really need to like do that more. So for Craig to, kind of teach you some things, he passes, but you walk away with some.
Yeah, we could tell stories, I'm sure, for a while, but I mean,
yeah, that's amazing.
That chapter ended, and it ended kind of too quick. And I think my takeaway is like, be here now, man. Be good right now. Be good. Don't be bad. Be good. Be your best all the time.
BaldFace would be like that. You get a lot of these people, I'm imagining, they get off the heli, they land, and some of your clients, I imagine, have very high paying salary jobs, and they're there to de-stress. And you see them get off the heli and they're stressed and they're tense. And then they go do some laps. They have the soup in the lodge. They give you the look, and you're like, this is everything. This is the reason why it exists. And then you see them get on the heli to leave, and you're like, that person is walking away from this whole BaldFace experience with the exact intent we had for the lodge in the first place.
You totally get it.
It must be magical to see some people carrying some serious baggage when they show up, whether it's stress or whatever that individual is dealing with. And then to drop it all after a few runs and realize that what you said there, I thought was really special. Just like, living in the moment, which personally is something that I'm trying to do more myself. So I thought that was rad. Yeah. I'm imagining some of your clients walk away changed as fuck after, a week experience. It
tuned them back in, because like, if you think of what it's like to have a family and responsibilities and a business, like, you got to find a way to get into meditation or some sort of physical activity literally to break out of worrying about tomorrow and trying to explain to yourself what happened yesterday. Your whole life is spent in these places that aren't like reality, right? And I think when you're on a snowboard or a mountain bike or those are two really good examples. I suppose surfing too. It's like, I never think like, should I go on the left side or the right side of that tree? How did that go with that tree behind me? It's like, you're just existing, going as fast as you possibly can, shredding pow, just like, I don't know. I'm not even thinking anything. There's nothing in there. It's just vacant land. It feels so good. It's like a echo chamber. There's nothing going on. So like, give me more of that, man. I want to be in the moment. And so I think when those office sick people, the kind of stress sick people show up, they get to tap into it for like moments and moments and moments. They start building it up, right? And what I see is people who like, they're first timers and they come out and they're changed for life. And I can tell you like, they're going to be back next year. And then they bring some friends and then they do that. And that's what BaldFace is built on, is like these 12-person cats of converts who are like, I will give up anything, but I'm not giving up that BaldFace trip, man. That is like, that's my time. These are my people. And you get high school buddies that are still getting together, college buddies, brothers, families, you know, coming together there. So people, 2 guys from Chicago, 3 guys from Denver, a couple guys from Seattle, they all get together there every year. It's their place to go. So yeah, I think it puts a smile on people's face and it reprioritizes stuff. And like people who are like, oh, snowboarding's not important. You know, I got important things to do. It's like, yeah, your priorities are just a little bit messed up, buddy. Let's realign those. Like, you're important. Snowboarding's important. That smile on your face is really important. Like really, really important, you know, and that's what we do, is we got to remind people of that. Snowboarding has to remind people.
I did a post the other day on my Instagram, and I said something along those lines. I'm like, hey, like, to you who's reading this, like, make time to go snowboarding. And then I like reiterated it. And I was like, yo, no, but actually, like, you do it. Cause I have so many friends back home. They talk to me year after year that they're gonna start snowboarding again, or they're gonna make time to go on that trip, but they don't. And now that I'm in my 30s, I've watched them say that since we were kids in high school. Right. And I see few of my friends in particular, they do have high stress. They've done very well, but I see that they're like, you know, they have 2 kids. It looks like they're drained. I'm like, dude, you forget how much joy you get from snowboarding. And what you said there, I thought was awesome. Just like, hey, you, yeah, nobody else but you. That smile is important. Yeah. Like, get out there and go. Like, I hope everybody who's listening to this podcast does the same thing. Like, make time to go snowboarding. Like, if it's difficult, like, make it a doctor visit. You know what I mean? Like, make the time to at least get out a couple times. Cause I mean, you get out with a couple of your friends. To me, I'm fortunate enough that this is what I've decided to do with my life. But I mean, fuck, man, life's going, the last 2 years of this pandemic has made me realize how fast life goes by. Calling family members. My sister's like, oh, your nephew's 7 now. I thought he was 3. And I was like, where's time going right now? And I'm like, it's going so fast. And if you don't prioritize like doing these things like snowboarding, where you're actually in flow state, that is typically the terminology, I would say, like, nothing else matters and you're just flowing down the mountain. Like, I can't wait to go ride in Whistler with my handful, my 8 best friends. You know, obviously, unfortunately, not on the same days, but well, maybe one day we'll all have the money to go to BaldFace together. But right now we're riding on the red chair in Whistler, and man, it's like, those are the best times of my life. And I hope people remember how important,
you know, even going to like another ski area and meeting at a place like Whitewater or Red Mountain or Shames, or even down in the States, the kind of smaller ski areas, super fun.
Oh,
to get a group of guys together and
even if the day sucks, you know what I mean? The lodge for a couple beers, it's like, fuck, it sucks out today, guys. And you just laugh.
Yeah, you have fun, man. That's the thing. Shared experiences, shared positive experiences are gold.
Yeah, that lodge must be packed with them. But we've talked about, like, you know, the success kind of, I mean, it is the best place to be. So if you can make a trip, BaldFace, write it down, follow them on Instagram, whatever you got to do. But what are some mistakes that you've made that are like, bam, like, if I could go back as an entrepreneur someone who, because I'm imagining a lot of people who are maybe listening to the podcast right now want to do a career change or something like that. Like, what are some mistakes that you made that you're like, that could have been resolved if X?
I mean, I will start off by coming back to what I said before, which is like, in a weird way, I haven't done everything right for sure, but I don't know that I'd change anything because I needed to learn those lessons to get to where we're at right now. And I'm probably making some really bad choices right now that I'm going to reflect on in another 5 or 10 years. And so I try to not to live my life too much looking back at like, I could have done this. I think, just, and this might just becoming an older guy, is like, I just wish I had find ways to be kinder to people when I felt the stress. And when things get gnarly, it's really easy to get quick. I need this right now, like, and you forget the please and thank yous and all that kind of stuff. And I think in my latest iteration of who I am, in my going into my 50s with 4 kids, it's really important that we remind each other that it's just like, even that guy who drives like a dick and he's going too slow, it's like, everybody deserves kindness. And that goes from the boss employee thing too. I've had to let people go, for kind of shitty reasons. You find out this is happening, you find out that's happening. And I probably could have been kinder in a few of those because it is a small town. And like, I hate going to the farmer's market here because you always end up running into those few staff that it didn't end well with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I reach out, I try to go back. I've gone back on a bunch of them and been like, hey man, this is how it went down. And, so yeah, I mean, but I also kind of, there's no playbook to how to do this. And the only way to learn is to reflect and be better moving forward. And you got to fuck it up a bit. Like, I don't know. I don't have that many tricks, but I didn't learn any of the tricks I have by landing them the first time.
Here's a good follow-up question to that. So one thing that I struggle with personally is the making, like, if I have a tough decision, anything that's like remotely tough, and like I struggle so much because it seems like it's a 50-50 area. I'm like, do I do this or do I do this? And I just struggle making the decision between the two. If you have, like you said, you purchased another lodge. That's a huge idea. So if I was in your shoes, I would be like, okay, there's so much to weigh out here. There's a pandemic and, this is crazy and this is crazy, but like, how do you make those decisions? Like how do you just pull the trigger, or do you just go like, you roll the dice? Like, cause I suck
Jody,
at doing that.
Here's what I do is, you've got your hopes and expectations and what you want to do. And you kind of think about it a bit, but the truth is all that really exists is like this is it. So when I'm in a decision, I'm here, I'm 100% here. And it's really easy to make the decision in this moment. That's how I do it. And then I never look back. And it's like, yeah, I mean, that place is for sale. It's the next closest place. The terrain is amazing. It's underserved. The valley over there is amazing. I love spending time over there. It's like a completely beautiful, different scene than Nelson. We can share a lot of the same employees. We can use this beautiful office we built downtown to service both. Like, all I do is talk myself into my own stupid ideas.
And then you go back, you go forward with no regrets. See, that's my problem, is then if it doesn't work out, for shits and giggles here. So I bought some stocks when I was a young kid because my mentor at the time, Matt, was like, you should buy them. And then I sold them when the pandemic shit hit the fan. And I was like, I just was watching the news. I got so scared. I sold everything at the low. And I'm the type of person that it's taken me a lot to be like every once in a while, I'll add up how much those shares would be right now. And I'm like, I fucked up so bad. Like, how am I gonna but that's the thing.
What
is
about
like,
this?
to me,
like, what
I
if it's like,
that.
Yeah, you left, X amount on the table. If you go back from this point to when you sold it, you feel like a dick, and it is what it is. But maybe you get into Bitcoin next. And when you're itchy and you're thinking about selling the Bitcoin, maybe you don't pull the trigger and you make that money back plus 10 times X, and you learned your lesson. So have some faith. The world's working in your favor, brother. Everybody wants you to be a big success. You're the only one in your own freaking way. Like, let it happen. Just get out of the way. There's nothing wrong. There's
actually,
nothing wrong with losing money, man. Losing money is how you make money. Don't worry about it.
I like
Right?
that because my thought process was like, I had these like Tesla shares and I was like, oh, no one's gonna buy electric cars. Who's gonna buy like a premium car during this? Like the world is ending. But the funny thing is, this plot twist, I actually do have some Bitcoin and some cryptocurrencies. I was like, well, I ain't selling those. I was like, nah, I believe in that.
Right?
And then, which was, I don't know, which is my own, I'm crazy.
Yeah, I just think like generally people beat themselves up way too much. Like God, I don't know. Someone told me one time, they were like, don't ever, I said some disparaging remark about myself, like in jest, someone I really like, I really respect came up to me and they were like, hey man, can I give you a piece of advice? And this was like, I do a speech up there every night, or not every night, like on the first night. So I don't know where it's at. I made some comment about being short and bald or whatever. And, haha. And this guy came up and he was like, man, I tell my kids this all the time. He's like, the whole world is either trying to tear you down or they're trying to build you up. But if you tear yourself down, you're telling the whole world what to do. So don't kick the shit out of yourself. Someone else is going to do that for you. Like, be nice to yourself.
I like that.
Give yourself a break. Like, don't cut yourself down. You didn't make any mistakes. It's all just a learning. We learn all the time.
It's crazy though, because I have a lot of friends that I think are the same way, and I'm the first. Like they say, a lot of comedians, Chris Farley, you could go down the list of people, they act the happiest, but they're not. And they take shots at themselves. Every single stand-up comedian is just ripping themselves apart.
Yeah.
But I think that when you tell yourself something long enough, you actually start believing it, maybe without you even knowing. Because I think I know I'll be the first to say it. Like I've said stuff about my own snowboarding or my skateboarding when I was a kid, and you get in your own head about it not being the best that you wanted. But then you talk to the greatest people in the world, Craig Kelly, Travis Rice, Market Morris, and they're not happy with theirs yet either. So it's an unachievable goal to just be
until you hang out with Jamie, and then you're like, right, this guy's got it figured out, man.
Elaborate on that. What?
Jamie lives 100% in the moment. Like he's unbelievable. He's another guy like that, and authentic like Craig. Like there's not a fake bone in that dude's body. Couldn't do it if he tried. And skating, I have a mini ramp in front of my house, and Jamie skates with the kids especially, and it's like he's so gifted and talented. But someone was talking about backside Smith grinds on that half pipe and how they're impossible. And I watched Jamie he's like, I haven't locked one of those in 5 years, And I just watched him beat the freaking hell out of himself, like 6-7 times, lock it up, go down, backside, straight to your elbow, straight to your hip. And I could hear him getting up going, I can do a backside Smith grind. I can do a backside Smith grind. He wasn't going, I can't do that. He was talking himself into it after, have you ever seen that dude's elbows?
He is
gross. They're better now, but they were like swollen elephant pods of like pussy bone from just taking it. But because he talks himself into doing things and then he does them. It's a great lesson,
Snowboarders, I hear that a lot I listen to quite a few psychologists, just podcasts and stuff, and they do talk about, they use skateboarding, not so much snowboarding, but skateboarding specifically, about like how you fail, get, but then you fail. You still don't have that. Just because you do the kickflip once doesn't mean you just have it forever. You still have to, if you want to do it on a different terrain or whatever, it's just constantly. I just think that Jamie, the same thing, slamming on that backside Smith, and you're like, damn, like
I would quit after one time.
Up.
I would be like, yeah, no, not doing that. No more of that.
No, totally.
I'm too old for that. No.
But some people are probably bad at taking a slam, not physically in life, but then they can keep doing it some people emotionally probably get slammed once or twice and they're like, I can't do that. Some people can get slammed emotionally over and over and over again and keep going. Where, maybe Jamie can do it more. Maybe his pain tolerance is a little higher. Cause I know a lot of people, like including my girlfriend, if she fell once, she wouldn't do something again. But if you gave her, an opportunity to do something else, she would probably, that wasn't maybe physically. I feel like someone's going to be stronger mentally and someone's going to be stronger physically. And Jamie seems like maybe he has both, but I think a lot of people, when it comes to actually feeling pain, they don't really handle that as well. That's why a lot of people don't actually become pro snowboarders, skateboarders, surfers, mountain bikes, because there's a certain level of, you have to get over the backsmith hang up that you're going to do on repeat and walk away with some crazy swell bows. But for whatever reason, a lot of us snowboarders are pretty good at taking a beating, but
yes,
you can also, there's a good takeaway from taking a beating and then keep getting up to, tackle your next project, whether it maybe in snowboarding on like a trick or just, trying to figure out how to buy a piece of real estate. It's all about
you're not dead till you're dead. That's the entrepreneurial thing. I talk to people about like starting businesses sometimes, and I'm like, the thing is, you're not in business anyways. You're not out of business till you're out of business. You know what I mean? And I think I watch a lot of businesses close up or give up, and they're not really done. It's like, well, you're not dead yet.
Damn.
You're not dead. You're not dead till you're dead. And sometimes you got to ride it all the way to the bottom to start coming back up. And you see people that are like getting out right here. And I'm like, oh no, the great universe wants more of your skin in this game before it's going to give anything back, buddy. Like, you're not suffering enough yet,
I think that's a big thing with people today. They hit a wall or they have a brief hiccup in wherever they're going in life. And then they're just not willing to put in that extra effort.
They're afraid to fail instead of experiencing failure. And what a jip. Because I've failed a few times and it's like, they're shitty to go through, but great experience. Great experience. Failures are awesome for you as a business person. Great.
Yeah. And I don't think that you could be a business person without knowing that you're going to fail. Like That's just inevitable. So when you hit one and then you just quit, it's like, well, you weren't cut out for this to begin with. You should work for the government. And
I think like if people are starting businesses and hitting people up for money and writing business plans, and like I hear it all the time, in a good way, and try to help out where I can, but it's also like, this is what your investor wants to hear, is that you're just too dumb to quit. You will keep pushing this donkey up the hill till you hit the rim of the canyon, That's what the investors want to hear. And so, yeah, they talk about people being hungry or this or that. And it's like, no, like, I know my partner loves the fact that I will never, ever roll over, ever. That's what he's investing in, more than the cash flow, more than the assets, more than the P&L. It's the belief that I'm not going to let it die, no matter what.
And as long as you're stupid enough to believe that, you're going to be fine.
As long as everyone else is stupid enough to like believe in me believing in it, we're all going to be.
The thing. If you act mopey and sad and everyone's out to get you, that is going to attract all of the negative shit that you've never wanted. But if you're the positive, happy guy, that's like, everything is always
Austin Sweeten.
True. Great example.
Was listening to that podcast on the way back after I talked to him.
Yeah, he's a boss, and he's had some memorable experiences up at BaldFace. I mean, he was completely dropped from snowboarding up at BaldFace with Justin Hosnick and stuff, and he's doing the tricks over the Craig.
I haven't gotten to that part yet. I can't wait to hear it. But I will tell you, and your scores legions of listeners on the podcast, that Austin came up for that day. Miller flipped the sword. We also built a couple weird things that I think Louis built, like these really long metal donkey dicks that went into nowhere. I think it was Louis. I don't know. I can't remember who it was.
That sounds like Louis.
And it's homie Jay. I can't talk to you. How do I tell this? I don't want to do this. Sorry,
No worries. Not worried.
Amateur hour, homie.
Buddy, we can cut this out. It's called editing.
Okay.
Grab it.
Okay, there. I made it stop. So
okay.
He came up and he did that. And I was like, holy shit, what a great guy. You know, like what a great energy he has, you know? And then I had something going on New Year's. And somehow Sweetie got up there for New Year's and I condoned it. No, I forget what it was, but I remember at one point I called Travis, was like, dude, I just saw the next fucking you. This kid's going to eat your lunch. And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, you ever heard of Austin Sweeten? He's like, yeah, he had a sick, didn't he have the Ender in the Absinthe movie? He was like, you know, Travis kind of flies pretty high above stuff, but he really pays attention.
Yeah.
Like, didn't he have the Ender or something in Absinthe? I was like, yeah. I go, he was just up at the lodge. And I'm telling you, that kid isn't like, he's amazing. I think I watched him hit like a pillow or a bump and he reverted like 5 times trying to stick the landing and made it. You know, he's just like going down the hill. Like,
He's
really?
cat.
Yeah, he doesn't give up. He doesn't give up. He's so impressive. And I think we did a cherry bowl and he went on one of those bumps next to the supernatural course and just like, he's teeny. And he went to like the moon and then back down. And we were all like, what? And then, so then he came on that trip and he met Travis and Robin on that New Year's trip.
Damn, that changed his life because he's been in a bunch of films with Travis and he's married to Robin.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah, they got engaged on Cherry Talks last year.
So it's truly, fuck, that's magical right there. They got like a sick thing going, those two, man. They like to be able to snowboard on the same terrain and then, you know, to be able to share that with your partner would be sick. Cause I don't get that with my girlfriend and it's fine, but it would be cool to like, you know, go shred some laps with your significant other.
Up at Galena up there, like where they did depth perception. That was the most insane. I went up for like 2 days of filming with those guys and it was, you know, I ride snowboards all over the place and I've been doing a lot of stuff and been on a lot of film shoots. That depth perception. Yeah, dude. Like the lines they were riding, I'm sorry, but like it's Superman shit. It's stuntman shit. And I ride a snowboard and I rode some of those lines and was like, how do you know where the fuck you are on the mountain? How are you tricking this? Why are you going so fast? Like, what the hell is wrong with you people? It was crazy. They're crazy, but they make it. They believe in themselves. But like,
seeing Travis ride those last few pillow lines in depth perception, you're like, I just don't get it. I'm like, I ride with people that are so talented all the time, but that type of talent is just, I think it's going to be a long, long time before we see somebody like Travis that's able to navigate the backcountry. Like I think that there's lots of people.
Are we getting into the Travis part?
We could. Like he's fucking crazy, dude. Everybody else, as far as navigation skills, just
put on my natural selection tour hat.
Oh, see, there we go. We could even go into that. I mean, natural selection. I mean,
Travis is like another one of these guys that's just like super nice, and I don't have anything bad to say about Trav. We've had a couple dust ups though, just because of work and the competition and COVID and how to, you know, he really Nelson. It's like a big city around here right now.
Totally.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say about Travis. What a story that is.
What's it like to work with him?
And then Travis come in is unbelievable. My fortune.
Natural selection has happened. You actually had one of the first, this first stop way back when it was the Red Bull.
Well, it started in Jackson as natural selection in Dick's Ditch. And then Travis thought about it for a while, was really looking for a really specific slope as he traveled everywhere. And when he was filming That's It, That's All up here, they were doing like jump runs at BaldFace because they'd take the helicopter from Nelson and fly really far away. So they were doing some stuff in the north side of our tenure. And he had seen some stuff, and then he came and we did something, and he explained that he wanted to do this contest, and he kind of like sketched it out verbally. And then I was like, I know a slope that might kind of fit the bill, you know, and it's really specific what he needs, like northeast, over 2000 vert, looking for a certain pitch. You know, the goal then was really like a slope full of landings, and we could build shit to the landings. That was the idea. You know what I mean? And I took him over to Scary Cherry, and it was a way different slope then. And he was like, dude, this is it. Yeah, let's do this. And he's like such a force, right? And I was a fan too. I was like, yeah, Travis Rice, let's do this. Like, fuck yeah. Woo. And what a journey that was. It was really cool. The lodge actually collapsed while we were building that course the year before we built it. And Paula had twins that year. So it was a pretty wild year. And we did the Supernatural that year. And in my opinion, that was the best one. Like the first one there.
That was wild.
Dude, it blew my own mind watching it. And I still go back and I'm like, I don't know. I think that was the best snowboarding. I'm obviously completely, jaded, but like, all I want to do is get to there again. And like natural selection or ultra natural was really cool. And I really liked it a lot, but the snow wasn't as good the second year as it was the first year. And there was like some constraints with broadcast where we kind of had to do it on this day. And in my mind, if you talk about looking back, like I'm always like, what if we had just done that in the second window? Would we have gotten it a third year? But then Red Bull kind of changed their tune and Trav went off filming some really big projects. So like it kind of got put on hold and I kept working on the course. That's the thing is like, I keep working on the course, right? So we've had 7 years on that course now.
Damn.
Like taking out broken shit, realigning stuff, like taking stuff that was in the landings out, moving stuff around. We today actually slung 5 more of those pyramids into the bottom there. We cleaned out a bunch of stuff in the cliff band at the bottom. Like, so, last year was a really tough one because we wanted to do it at the lodge, but we couldn't because of COVID. And they had a 3-stop tour planned. And it really turned into one of these things of like, well, what can we do? And we had just purchased Valhalla and the terrain is sick over there. And all the Canadian riders are such team players, all of them. And it was like 2 weeks beforehand. I'm like, what do you guys think about kind of freestyling this contest?
Yeah.
At my new tenure. And like Rasman and all of them, Robin, Leanne, they all just picked up. They're like, fuck yeah, let's make this awesome, man. And like Justin filmed and Gabe was out there. And it was like the Canadian crew of crews. Craig McMorris was there. Like it was crazy. Like everyone was there except for Mark. And it was just such a rad thing to do at Valhalla last year. Like it was great to get the tribe together, shred some lines, like kind of have a bit. I mean, it was like an event, and it filled the bill for those guys. It was made some good footage, but like I'm getting in trouble saying this over and over to the team, but like this next year, it's going back to BaldFace, and the other ones are going to look dumb. Like this is going to be so good. The course is like, I mean, unless we have like the biggest snow year ever, whatever, but like apples to apples, if we get what I think we're going to get, this year's course is like,
I never really thought about this because you're trying to like outdo the other. I never really thought about it from that
totally,
perspective. I'm
man.
just like,
yeah, there's a competition between us for sure.
I feel like
before the Jackson contest, I'm the only guy watching the weather going like, come on, rain. Come on, rain. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
I don't do that,
like
but
who Jackson is it? You shouldn't even be offended if Jackson has a good stop because Jackson isn't like, it's just like a cheesy ski community that there's all these
I don't want to talk any shit on anything. I think I've only been to Jackson once.
It's not you.
Sure
it's
an awesome
Jackson stop.
Sure it's an awesome place.
Jackson stop does not have like Jackson is sick. Don't get me wrong, but like to me, it's like BaldFace is like that's the church for snowboarding. It's like come on, but
that's what I want, man.
But
I want it to be the best one. I want it to be the place. I really want to honor our commitments to our craft by creating a place that's worthy of all of that positivity.
I'm looking forward to it because you seem juiced up right now.
I'm so juiced. And last year was a really hard year for a lot of reasons, but like, I am like over the moon about it this year. It's going to be natural selection tour this year. Like, I can't wait to see it. Last year, I was like, first year COVID, fucking leave me alone up here.
Yeah.
And it was like a lot of work to make it happen this year. Oh my God, I can't wait. Oh, it's going to be sick. I hope Shaun White's in it really bad. So bad.
Me too. Has Shaun White ever been to BaldFace? Obviously.
No.
What?
No. But I extend a hearty invitation, and we have a shit ton of guitars up there too.
Who hasn't been to BaldFace? I feel like every snowboarder I've ever met in my life has spent a million.
Let's see, Shaun White hasn't been there. You know who I reached out to one time because I'm such a fanboy? It was like, will you please come here just because like you're kind of on my bucket list? Was David Benedict.
Oh,
I was like,
yeah.
You're the fucking man, dude. You got to come check this place out. And we had so much fun. He's such a nice guy.
I'm a huge David Benedict fan.
Huge fan. Yeah, he was one I reached out to. I've reached out to a few people. I got text to come up. That was one. Yeah, I don't know. I've reached out. Kevin Pierce, he came out with that it was the first place he rode POW after his brain injury.
Oh, yeah.
Little Crusher. It was awesome. He's one of us now. Yeah.
Who have you ever had some like kind of like celebrity-ish figures that show up? Like, does Matthew McConaughey ever come up there?
No, but Woody Harrelson kicks my ass at ping pong every time he's up. And
What?
Lewis Hamilton was up at the lodge and met Jamie and was a huge Jamie Lynn fan, which is amazing. And
Wow.
Jamie's like, who's this guy? I'm like, it's Lewis Hamilton. He's 6-time world champion in F1. He's kind of one of the biggest deals in the world. He's awesome. Jamie's like, okay, cool. Yeah. He was talking to me about cars. I just didn't really know who he was. I'm like,
Yes, Jamie.
yeah. Now Jamie and I watch Formula One on Sundays. It's really fun. Yeah.
All right, I got a few more questions here, and then
All right, hit me. Sorry if I'm being
Okay.
long-winded.
No, not at all. So what's next for you and the lodge?
Well, next is my next move is I'm learning how to run 2 places out of 1 office, right? So now I'm going to learn how to run 2 places in the next couple of years. And I'm excited to see how that comes together. I'm going to build something over there. I don't know what it's going to be yet. Some sort of maybe a lodge, maybe some houses, maybe some accommodation on this land that we got over there. But it's important. I'm going to listen to the public in the neighborhood, make sure it fits in. I don't want to be some crazy person building crazy shit. So we'll see how it goes. We're going to, on this land we bought, we're going to start farming and do quite a bit of the food that we eat at the lodge and that we'll ultimately eat at Valhalla will be grown on our farm.
Cool.
So that's going to be fun. Pigs and chickens, root vegetables, onions, garlic, herbs, that kind of stuff. So super excited about that. And then, like, I think it's going to go one of 2 ways, but like my goal would be to get a 3rd project in under the BaldFace umbrella before I'm ready to start thinking about taking my foot off the gas. So I would like to get Valhalla up to the BaldFace level in the next 4 or 5 years, 3 or 4 years, and then maybe acquire another place and then have this nice little group of 3. And then we'll see if my kids want to get involved, if Olivia wants to get involved, like where it's going to go, who the heir apparent is. And then either I'll sell it or I'll keep it in the family and see where it goes, But yeah, that's what I want to do. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it, my man. I can't wait to hit all 3.
Yeah, it's going to be something.
Okay, so I got 10 questions for you at the end. I quickly jotted these down. I'm excited to get to them because I think these are going to be good. All right. Number 1, best style currently and back in the day.
Okay. Best style currently. God, I just got the new King Snow magazine. I should probably look in it. I have so many friends in the business. I watch so many people ride.
I know.
So I'll say something, but I don't want to. I know I'm wrong. I'm failing this question, but people I ride with that I just absolutely love riding with. I gotta hand something off to Eric Jackson, because he's so confident on the snowboard, and he's so nice as a human, and he's not afraid of hard things, and it shows in his snowboarding.
Yes.
Am I only allowed? I could say 50 people, and I love them all so much.
So name a handful then, because I mean, like
Robin Van Gyn. Are you fucking kidding me? Like the way that she rides mountains is so humble, and yet she's a freaking beast. She is a backcountry beast. She really is. She kills me when I ride with her. My mouth is wide open. Jamie Anderson is a double beast. Jamie is maybe my favorite snowboarder of all time out of all of them. I can't believe how nice she is. She's from a huge family, huge smile, loves what she does, gets the shit kicked out of her and gets up and then finds a way to make it work.
She
And
pulls a
loves
Jamie
a powder
Lynn.
turn as much as a 900. Like, she's unbelievable.
I'm gonna start calling that the Jamie Lynn when you get the shit kicked out of you, but you keep going.
Yeah, the hat toss and you keep going. Ika style, Ika forever. I don't know. I go deep. All right, old Ika could be both, I guess, but old school style, I'd have to say Cardiel probably would be the guy I would most really, as far as like at Jurassic Park, and then like backcountry style, probably Tom Burt, maybe Victoria Jalous and her heel side turn with her hands coming around. Confident riding style, really fast, pioneering a lot of lines. You talk about sometimes, the girls, the women talk about pioneering, and they forget people like Karabeth and Jenna Mayan and Jenna Mayan style.
She was beast.
Let's see, old people. Yeah, Tom Zellers, Jim Zellers. Amazing.
I love this, dude.
Yeah. Okay, sorry.
I love the history. I love the history. I like when you get going on the history, man, because you got a lot of knowledge up there. Number 2, what's one of the best memories you have at BaldFace? I know you have a lot, so you can just kind of throw out maybe one that comes to mind.
Okay, Zach Nigro at Burton and John Gurnt, who's not a Burton anymore, but is Burton in really created a lot of it. They sent me this thing called a resonator like a couple of years ago, maybe 3 years ago. And it's a powder surfer, and it's like a little lightweight potato chip of a surfboard made by Varial. And they sent this thing out and they were like, you should try this out, because I was riding the Snow Shark, which is great. I had a Snow Shark and a Grassroots and Asmo, so they knew I was like into it. And they sent me this thing, and it got there, and my first ride on it was a heli run on the north side. And I really had no idea what to expect on this thing. And I will never forget that run. That run on the Resonator was probably I was at one with the universe. Just the line was taking me down the mountain. My feet weren't connected. I ollied a couple little things and then landed on the board, which never happens for me. And literally rode into the LZ right to the skids. And I'll never forget that run. That was a great run. I don't know if that's my favorite memory of BaldFace, but that's a fairly recent one. And if you've never done powder surfing, it's way easier than you think it's going to be if you're on fresh powder. Incredible.
I'm getting juiced up to ride some powder now. Number 3, has anyone been banned from BaldFace?
Yeah, for sure. We have a blacklist. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. And we all talk. All the cat and heli operators talk.
You're like, these guys are the no-go, no-fly
Yeah, it's
zone.
like if you're getting a massage and you think it's a different experience than the professional experience that we give up there, your name is going to end up on a list and you're going to have a hard time booking anywhere. I'll put it to you that way. So creepy drunk dudes, be forewarned.
Creepy drunk. Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
That would be about it, though. That's the only shit we've ever really had to deal with, like banning people. There's some people that I've asked not to come back for sure.
Just because they're like being a dick or something, or what?
Yeah. Just confrontational, and I'm trying to cultivate an experience up there. And at the end of the day, I got to put up with anybody for a few days, but I don't have to do it year after year after year. I'd be like, nah, we're good. We're good on that. I've said no to a lot of people for sure. Send them to other places. Like, oh, I think you'd like this place up there. It's great. No problem. BaldFace isn't for everyone, man. We're not some luxury cruise ship with it's not for everyone, man. It's just not. There's more luxurious places to go that have this and that have that. Go for it. I'll help you steer the ship. My place is my place. Like, yeah.
I've only been to BaldFace once, and I was like, damn, this place is that's my kind of place.
No hot tubs. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, Craig. All right, number 4. Who's ranked up the largest bar tab?
Oh shit. Aaron Black.
What?
But he had the. Oh God, would I get him in
Damn.
trouble if I said that out loud? It was on. You can edit it, but it was on the North Face. We had a really crazy trip with the North Face one time where they were like long-term embedded camping, and Blatt showed up, and yeah, we all really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the biggest one. No, this guy Brett comes up. He's very wealthy. He's from New York. He's a huge friend of the family. You know, he's one of us, and he's done very well for himself. And sometimes we get these guys that have done very well for themselves, and this is their chance to really show their appreciation to the staff and to their friends that they bring out. And sometimes they'll just open the bar tab to everyone, and then it's like, oh God, okay, here we go.
You have 40 people up there just crushing, old fashions. It's gonna.
Palmer does that too. Actually, I don't know. A lot of big bar tabs up there. Red Bull would probably have the biggest one after Ultra Natural.
Thank you, Red Bull.
Red Bull. Yeah, I'd give it to Red Bull. Thanks, Claude.
Number 5, advice for someone wanting to start their own business.
Yeah, just like don't get too tied into the end result, because it may change a lot between writing your business plan and funding it or building it. Don't get too, like, everything changes because it's supposed to change. And as an entrepreneur, you got to follow the path of least resistance to get to the ultimate goal. So I would say, 1, don't quit until you're dead. Like, you know what I mean? Like, out of money, phone's turned off, you're in trouble. That's when you're allowed to quit. Not because you're scared of that stuff happening. You know? Is that enough?
Yeah, dude. I want you to write a book. All right. Number 6, favorite boards you have at the lodge.
Of the old ones?
Yeah. Maybe you have a new board.
Blue Montgomery gave me the original Capita with the double rev tracks in it. The first ones that they pressed. I have one of those. And that tells a story. Blue is such a great guy, and Capita is such a success story. And having him recognize my love for snowboarding by bringing out an artifact like that was like, it's right up there. I have a really nice series of aggression snowboards because I really kind of thought Tarquin was like the fucking man. So I have 3 of those up there, and I kind of have them all organized. I have check this out. This is maybe a prized possession, but they only made like 50 of these. And this was Jake made these stone huts. And he told me I had to ride it. And then I kind of lost it for a while. I stashed it. And then he passed away. And now I've got it in the plastic in my office. And I swear I'm going to go ride this thing this year. But it's a pretty sick board.
Signed by Jake Burton?
Yeah.
Dang. Have you met Jake Burton before? Obviously.
Yeah, he came out and shredded. Yeah. Favorite boards. Fuck, the Orca lives up to the hype. The Orca's great. The Capita Black Snowboard of Death, like 2nd generation with the death spike in the middle of it. Amazing board. Spring breaks, if you ride POW, are really fun. Even though they look really goofy, they're really, really fun to ride. Favorite boards. Boy, I go way back, right? Like the old Fat Bobs were really fun to ride, right?
K2 Fat Bob. It's the best board ever.
Glissade,
I have one in my storage locker, the yellow and red one.
168 Glissade all day long. I would put, dude, I could go on forever about snowboards. God.
What would
Still
you
looking for an original Brushy Trout, because I have all my Brushies lined up and I don't have a Trout. And Jeff Brushy's never been to the lodge, even though I've invited him a few times. Would love to get Brushy out to the lodge someday. Shout out.
Jeff Brushy.
Jeff to Jeff.
I'll hit him up.
Thank you.
We're great friends.
Thank you.
What would you be doing if you never opened the lodge?
Hanging out in Tahoe, being guy with truck, eating burritos, swimming in that lake every day. Every day that's warm enough, I'd be swimming in it. I'd still have a season pass at Alpine Meadows. I'd still have a pass at Homewood. And I would probably be like some old version of Nick Russell down there.
Sick.
That's
Big
my
Nick,
guess.
big Nick Russell fan.
Big fan. He's never been to the Lodge, but I think we're going to get him out to Valhalla this year.
I hope so. He's the
I
man.
write these guys fan mail. This is what I think is funny is they're all on their like celebrity track, you know, and snowboarding, you know, like people get to know you, whatever. And then through my eyes, I'm like a fan and I'm like, hey, Nick Russell, my name's Jeff and I got this place easy and I think you'd ever want to come and shred it. I'd love to take you out. Danny speaks so highly of you. And then he's like immediately like, you know, he's like typing, you know, like, good God, Jeff, so glad to hear from you. Of course, I'd love to come out and check it out. You know, like I still get blown away that everybody knows what it is.
Oh, yeah. Everybody knows. Everybody should know what it is. All right. Number 8. What's your biggest pet peeve?
2. 1 is the band Journey. Fuck that band. Number 2, I would say is people who have Alta stickers on their shit.
Is that the ski resort that doesn't allow snowboarders?
Yeah, dude. And people show up at BaldFace with a fucking Alta sticker on their helmet or something. And I'm always like, oh, no. Like, go into the box, pull out a good old one. Alta.
Have you ever been there?
No, and I'm never going there. They can have it.
Fuck that place. All right. Number 9. Does Jamie Lynn have the key to BaldFace?
There is no key to BaldFace. And, you know, Jamie, you know, I could talk about Jamie forever. Like one of the biggest gifts I've ever had was becoming good friends with him and having him in my life and like be a part of they're a part of my family, Jamie and Deanie, like Sunday dinners, you know, and my love for him is just like deep. But he was in a rough spot 15 years ago or so, and his really good buddy Billy Anderson was running Volcom, and so Volcom was doing trips out there, and Jamie was there, and he was just a little lost, you know, in his own way, and wasn't sure about snowboarding so much at this point. It was like music was kind of taking off, his art was really taking off. Snowboarding felt like maybe more of a, I don't want to speak for Jamie at all, but like maybe it was more of an obligation than, you know, oh, I got to go to Japan next week. I got to go to Minnesota next week. I got to do this. And I remember just looking at him and I don't drink anymore. Jamie really doesn't, but we were drinking a lot that night and Landvik was there. And I remember just looking at him and I got all teared up and I was like, Jamie, if you don't snowboard anymore, I don't want to do this anymore. I can't imagine having BaldFace and having snowboarding without Jamie Lynn as part of it. Like, so I don't care who your sponsor is. I don't care what the fuck is going on. You never have to pay $1 here for anything as long as I own this place. And you can live here. I don't care. If it keeps you snowboarding, that's all it matters, really. And so Jamie's allowed there whenever the fuck he wants. I don't care. He puts a hammock in the back hallway, sleeps back there sometimes. But yeah, he has the keys to the kingdom. He gets up late, makes himself breakfast, jumps on a snowmobile, grabs a group, and I love it. I'm honored to have him there. And snowboarding, you're welcome, because we can't lose people like that. We can't. Jamie is too important.
We have that discussion. We have the discussion a lot on the podcast about like keeping the OGs or the mentors or these older figures that have paved the way for us around. And it just sucks when brands don't have that same respect for those monumental figures that have done so much for snowboarding. And it's really cool. You know how the Lodge BaldFace is so snowboarding that if you're going to be like Jamie Lynn doesn't have Jamie at my lodge, Jamie Lynn has access to it forever. Or I don't know where we've gone wrong in snowboarding. And I think that more brands should open their doors up to the people that have made their brands big brands. It's like your brand wouldn't be anywhere without some of those big riders. It's like they often overlook that. It's really, as a kid who gets obsessed with certain brands because of certain riders, it's crazy how fast they'll ditch somebody who rode for them for 10, 15 years and has truly shaped what that brand is. And I think Jamie for Vans and stuff like that and LibTech is just like, you know, it's so rad that those companies keep them around. And, you know, same with yours. You're doing the same thing.
Yeah. Well, they value him. I know Casillo values the hell, and Maddie, they value Jamie. Like everyone at Volcom really values Jamie. It's not like he's like helping steer the ship. You get these old guys in there and they actually have institutional knowledge that's not able, you can't get that anywhere else. Someone who's been through 5 team managers in a company, you know, like that goes away. It's gone forever. You're not getting that back. So, you know, it's important that we keep these things alive. And like Hostenik's microdoses, I'm such a fan of, because he's like, I don't want to say snowboarding movies are dead, but like the attention span of snowboarders is about 6 minutes now, feels like. And Justin's not crying about it and like, the world's changing. He's like, right, I'm going to make these microdoses and tell the stories of these people so that it's like documented forever. And like, who's Torstein? Well, here's 4 episodes to tell you exactly everything about Torstein. Like, and they're really exciting and interesting and great snowboarding, and
I love them.
The story behind it and all of these things that they're starting to do. It's like, yeah, Justin's a great entrepreneur, because it's like, yeah, it might be over getting a bunch of sponsor money, traveling around the world and putting on a premiere show tour and all that. But that doesn't mean the story shouldn't be told anymore. Adapt, win, totally. You know?
And I hope snowboard videos do never die. And I don't think that they ever will. I think they'll always have a place, but I just don't know if they're going to hold the same weight that they once did, you know, in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s.
Travis just elevated it to such a level that it's almost like, yeah, okay, where are you going to go from that, really? You know?
We did touch base on that for a second, and I could touch base on that. I mean, the longer I ride backcountry and the more time I spend out there, and the harder I realize it is to navigate a line, especially one that has, you know, pillows, step downs, chutes, cliffs, and it's, you know, as long as the vertical is Alaska, basically. It's
dude,
like,
and you're freaking at the bottom watching this roll out. I've been lucky enough to be on a couple of these shoots. Again, great fortune. Wow. And I'm like, you're watching them ride these lines and you're like scared, because I got to do first aid sometimes and stuff too. So it's like, whoa, dude, watch out, like turn. Whoa. Ah. They get to the bottom on the run out and Trav's like smiling like the Joker. That was so awesome. It was sick. And I'm just sitting down here like, are you kidding me? Like, you're not gripped. Do you know what you just did right there? Like, I'm terrified. God. Yeah, they're amazing.
Yeah, he is amazing. On that note, who is the GOAT?
Oh, Jesus. Really? That's the number one question. Is that the last question? Who is the GOAT? The GOAT is my customers that are up there on top of Cheeky Monkey, getting fresh tracks with their buddies, getting a chance to experience the infinite wisdom and the completeness of the moment. That guy strapping in right there, that's the greatest of all time. He's the best on that day. The best. All right. And if I have to say a snowboarder, you know.
You can do a few. I don't care.
I mean, obviously, Craig. Obviously, in my opinion, Craig. And then a close second, Travis. But that's a really personal answer, you know. Those guys could do whatever they want with whoever they want. And for whatever reason, they shone their light upon me. One of them was older than me. One of them was younger than me. And I've gotten to experience this 2 times in my life where I've like built the lodge with Craig and built supernatural, ultranatural, and natural selection with Travis. And I've got to experience Travis for a decade as a man, becoming a father and a businessman. And like, the relationship is so rich and so rewarding. You know, I'm the luckiest guy. But then I also get to have like really intimate relationships with like Austin and Robin, and you know, Brian and Callie were up this winter, and like I have really deep, meaningful relationships with like Blatt, and like Tim Manning's one of my best friends. Like snowboarding is just, it's all of it. All y'all are the greatest. You know, I'm humbled all the time that I get to be included in this group. We all should be. You know,
It's
we're all so
amazing.
privileged, and we got to do everything we can to get more access to more people, specifically more people that don't look like you and I. I think we just have to be really cognizant right now that opportunity is everything, you know? So really long-winded way to get to a plug about the Indigenous Youth Life Skills Academy. Court, Blackbird, you're the man, but that's an example of people that are doing things totally right.
Elaborate.
And,
You take a second to elaborate on that before we
well, like
come
Court
to a close.
and this guy Tim, they work with this outfit called Indigenous Youth Life Skills Academy over in Squamish. And so what they do is they think that there's a path towards basically building confidence and inspiring youth in the sports that we love: skateboarding, mountain biking, snowboarding, surfing to an extent. And they're mentoring amongst themselves the Indigenous youth in the Salish, you know, over like in Pemberton and Squamish and other areas, and encouraging them to get into these board sports, individual sports, not team sports. Individual sports build a person differently than a team sport, as we both know. And so I became aware of them and basically like just really want to do something that makes a difference. And so like that's an organization where it's like human beings helping human beings become better human beings. There's not a lot of back end over there or anything. And I've just been putting my energy behind trying to get them product, trying to get people to come and visit, donate things when they do auctions, because they basically like buy lift tickets for kids so they can go snowboarding and give them some free lessons amongst people that really excited to have them out there. It's not a job, you know, it's like a passion. So
And where can people find out to them? What's like their Instagram handle?
ILSA, ILSA. If you look up Indigenous Youth Skills Academy, ILSA. It's ILSA. I could look, but I'm terrible with my phone. Find it.
Awesome.
Look them up.
So-
They're great. Send stuff. Support.
What a rad way to end that, man. I can't thank you enough for coming on the show. And I mean, I'm a huge fan of everything that you're doing. And I think there's a lot of people that are not very genuine in what they're doing in life. And they're doing it for, you know, clout, or they're doing it for a paycheck and stuff. And it's nice to see somebody who's worked very hard to get in a place that is now fortunate enough to, I mean, yeah, change people's lives, have people up at BaldFace. I mean, even helping people like Pat Moore hold an event to teach the next generation of backcountry riders safety. And, you know, that being a really special thing for myself, and I can speak on the rest of, you know, professionals that get to attend that event, that it's life-changing going up there. And, you know, having people that are snowboarders share their experiences of people either passing away or getting in some pretty tough situations. And it just helps build a really strong community and a brotherhood / sisterhood of people that really care for each other. And I mean, a big thanks to you pushing over those hurdles that you could have easily, you know, quit, but you still had $1 in your bank account and a dream to go after, and you went after it. And I think that this is a good podcast for anybody who's, I'm imagining a lot of people are in some really tough situations with the last 2 years of COVID, or maybe even having lost their businesses already, or maybe they still have the $1 in the bank account, and hopefully this inspires them to continue to push forward. And
Dig, man. It's hard. Life is hard. You got to learn how to enjoy the ride and work hard, you know, and it pays beautiful rewards. It really does. And I'm not talking about money, but I'm talking about
top of the run, strapping in with your new freaking surfboard,
right? Not strapping in, unstrapping in, wearing my sweet Vans new powder surfing boots, which are amazing and available at your local retailer this year. The Volley Nivelt, who is another one of the greatest of all time. Volley, underrated.
He is
very underrated.
I think he's underrated to this specific generation, and his name doesn't get brought up enough. So, but I definitely remember when I was a kid, he was not an underrated snowboarder. He was opening and closing the movies, and he was a powder let. I mean, here's somebody who I actually think was underrated, at least here in Canada, was Freddie Kalberman. Like,
oh God,
like his name
never
is
been to the lodge either. Love to get him out,
Never-
but I heard he's really busy cooking in Sweden or Switzerland or something.
when that guy had any footage in anything, I was like, holy shit, that guy's the best snowboarder ever.
Oh yeah,
He was,
there's 10 of them though. Look at Landvik's in the same boat.
yeah.
Like, I mean, there really are a bunch of like great snowboarders, and you're like, oh right, like oh dude, this is horrible. I'm not remembering this right now. Now I have to change because then they'd know that I forgot. But like Kevin Sansalone's a great example too.
Boom.
Another dude who's a monster snowboarder, but he's so nice
Yes.
that you kind of like forget that he's an absolute beast of a snowboarder.
He's a beast, man. He filmed a few of his last clips that he filmed where he was going for broke. Like he tried this wildcat and this switchback 5 off this step down that was just, yeah, some of his clips that he filmed in his prime are awesome. I was a big Kevin Sansalone fan.
Me too. He's actually one of the lumberjacks on the course rebuild right now.
I've seen through Chris Rasman's Instagram feed who's been up there. It's
Yep.
nice to see that group, all people who share the same just obsession of snowboarding, come together and are helping cut down trees together. I'm sure everyone's having the time of their life though. It looks fun. I'm like, damn, like that looks epic.
It's fun, man. We got another couple weeks of work to do, and then we're going to put it to bed, and then we'll go back in the winter and actually build a bunch of cheese wedges and stuff around.
Nice. Well, I'm hoping that I can come to the BaldFace stop to I'm going to start my own, you know how there's like Red Bull TV? I'm going to do like airtime TV. I'm going to show up with like a guy who's filming me on a Super 8 and a microphone.
Yeah.
And then it just looks legit. So you're like, he's got to be here.
What are you talking about? I heard
he's
you're getting wild carded in is what I heard. You better start doing some squats. Wild card.
If Torstein, Arthur Luongo, and Kazu, among some others, didn't make it in last year, I'm assuming the wild card spots can be pretty wild.
Yeah, all right, we'll see.
Yeah, but I do want to come there.
Great, well, we'll have you. We'll have you for sure.
Yeah, okay, huge fan. Thanks again, Jeff. I'm looking forward to seeing you at the Pat Moore risk maturity course. And thanks again for putting that on. And is there any last shout outs you want to give to before we close?
I'll just say, like, everyone deserves a pat on the back. Everybody give yourself a pat on the back for surviving this podcast and for all the good work that you do, because everybody's doing good work. So let's all just be nice to each other, and we're going to get through this shitty time for sure.
Perfect. On that note, take care, everybody. And yeah, be nice to everybody. All right. Peace.
Thanks, pal.
One job is waiting. Let's get it on.